Number 2 of 7, Awful Universe, yet Awful University. In this episode, the sole goal is to demonstrate that the big three of science, philosophy, and religion align in favor of a creation story of the universe over a steady state in general terms. The motive behind investigating the origin of the universe is so as to shed light on the path out of crises for the university. This is so on account that the blueprints of our social edifice are based on it, meaning that central to the discussion is that the university is as much part of the problem as of the solution. If talking about the university, one must talk about the universe as well, and if so, about creation. Has science advanced such that it has solved the world's problems, or has education only exacerbated them of late? Please see accompanying slide. It is no longer admissible to say that this question of the creation of the universe lies outside the bounds of science, therefore outside the university proper as well. This disqualification is what got us in the hole we're presently in, and what's worse, keeps feeding the furnace of chaos and bewilderment of youth information in schools. The modern university covers all knowledge aspects of life, all the trees, but seemingly misses the forest as a whole. Hosts of reasons are provided to disqualify a sole principle as principal reason, the mantra being that there are not one but many. Present-day university is duoversity, or at best pluriversity. Our omni-science proposal of paradise reinstates the universe in image and likeness to the universe. Let's put all our ducks in a row. Cosmogony is the theme. Let's take it from the top and work our way downwards. In science, the Big Bang versus the steady-state universe. In philosophy, Plato's demiurge mythological explanation of creation and Aristotle's favoring the permanent universe due to the impossibility of an infinite regression to the first cause in time. In religion, the creation story of Moses as in Bereshit, Genesis 1:1 2, 3. Briefly, the Big Bang theory of modern science, the School of Athens of ancient philosophy, and finally, the archaic Bible creation story of religion. Science. Let's start with cosmogony of modern science. Was there a creation or not? Has the universe always existed or was it created? From science, the consensus originally was around the steady-state universe, but has since turned in favor of the Big Bang model of the universe. Phenomena of inflation, expansion, back to the origin, and so on, all point in favor of a Big Bang theory of the universe. Please see accompanying slide. Science favors a Big Bang, like creation of the universe from absolute time zero, over the steady-state universe, which has always existed. However, mention must be made of the shortcomings of the Big Bang model of the origin of the universe. Though it does concede a creation as implicit in the Big Bang idea of the universe, its cosmogony nevertheless does not predict the composition and behavior of its cosmology. There is a disconnect between absolute time zero and time afterwards. That is, at present the theory accounts solely for light, matter, and energy, the ones we can observe, and has no way to account for the so-called dark and gray matter and energy, respectively. I am certainly no expert in the field, though physics was my first sailing, but I will throw in my hat into the ring and further my omniscience omniscience paradise hypothesis. Please see accompanying slides. Philosophy. In philosophy, something similar happens. Aristotle argued in his treatises Posterior Analytics and Metaphysics about the impossibility of an infinite regression to a first cause in time. Therefore, he concluded against the creation of the universe in order to save reason from collapse and ensuing chaos. That is, in order to save his argument, he concluded against the first cause since it's impossible to know, to access. Hence, by default, he endorsed the hypothesis of the eternal existent universe. Please see our counterproof to his argument in the previous video number 1 of 7 of the series, wherein it is demonstrated that in actuality there are 4 and only 4 sets of causes, namely things, peshat, models, remes, principles, deraj, as universe sought. Plato, on the other hand, in the dialogue Timaeus, argued that the universe did have an origin, favoring creation over the permanent universe. However, his explanation, strangely enough, is not philosophical, as one might expect from a philosopher. In his narrative, the universe was created by a demiurge, a mythological sort of figure, a creation of our mind, not created by the creator. The universe is ultimately a creation, but of the human mind. So it is not a real creation, since there is no creator. There's only creatures creating fictions of creator, which is not the same thing. Philosophically, Plato's creation was made by a demiurge, by a figment of our imagination. Aristotle says the universe has always existed in order to save reason from itself due to the impossibility of an infinite regression to a first cause in time. I would say that from philosophy it is inconclusive. At best, Aristotle's disproof fails and Plato's proof is flawed. So, as far as we're concerned, philosophy doesn't affect the status of the creation of the universe one way or another. As for the archaic Greek period, Homer and Hesiod and Pherecydes, their explanations of creation are mythological, based on the human pantheon, a notch lower than Plato's demiurge. From philosophy, the mind cannot comprehend creation, so it concludes out of necessity to save reason and avoid insanity taking over effectually in favor of the steady-state universe. Religion. The conclusion so far, having put all our ducks in a row in the matter of creation of the universe, is that science, peshat, does align with the creation story by way of the Big Bang, though it falls short of explaining the behavior of the universe in terms of dark, light, and gray, matter, energy, and particles, fields, and forces. As for philosophy, its disproof against creation is demonstrated false, and its proof in favor is found flawed. So, as far as we're concerned, it neither adds nor detracts from the discussion for or against the creation of the universe. This leaves the next step to delve into the contribution of religion, deraj. Our source will be the Torah teaching, otherwise known as the Bible creation story, to be found in the book of Bereshit, Genesis, verses 1:1 to 2:3. The answer to the riddle isn't found in archaic, much less in ancient Greece. That much is certain. Our university is heir to ancient Greece, and if we don't have it today, it's because it was missing from yesterday. If the route of ancient Greece was the way to go, it would have been resolved ages ago with so many talented scholars in academia. However, the 3 great religions of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam do endorse the Bible creation story of Moses. Over the years, this tradition from Judea-Israel has come down to present times by way of the Kabbalah reception, which proposed Pardes. Moses, in the archaic period in Judea-Israel, proposed this Pardes as 4 levels of reality. Perhaps the best way to present this finding is by way of an illustrative example. For this express purpose, I have chosen the parasha Ki Tetzeh, when you go out, from Devarim, Deuteronomy, chapter 21, verses 18 to 21, about the wayward son. Pardes is the acronym standing for Peshat, plain, Remes, remit, deraj, discover, and Sot, secret. This was meant to be an auxiliary tool for reading the Torah teaching, the Hebrew Bible, also known as the Pentateuch, or the 5 books of Moses. When used to interpret a text, the acronym Pardes takes the more useful form of interpretation of Peshat, literal, Remes, allegorical, deraj, homiletical, and Sot, all. Please see accompanying slide. In this chosen section, the component parts of Pardes, paradise, are clearly distinguishable. The physical P, case at issue, is literally stated in no uncertain terms. Chapter 21:18, Peshat, literal, of having a wayward son, stubborn and rebellious, who won't listen to reason in the voices of his parents. Just as clearly distinguishable is the succeeding part of the legal R aspect. In 2119, Rem is allegorical by presenting the case to the elders at the city gates for judgment. In continuation, likewise, without a doubt, the moral D aspect in 2120, the Raj homiletical, now adequately describing the son as consumed by vices of gluttony and drunkenness and not listening to the virtuous voice of tradition. Finally, not surprisingly, would come the fear S part, 2121, of sought awe, of facing death for evil misbehavior instead of living a long life for good behavior. Omniscience. In order to arrive at the paradise principle of recivilization, I've incorporated contributions from modern science as well as thoughts from Socrates and Pythagoras. Please see accompanying slide. I have the calling to serve, the message of paradise to disseminate, and the mission of recivilization in America to realize. Entrale a la bola, no seas canica. Keep weird, folks. U.S. Senate, Texas 2020, and the Nobel Peace Prize as soon as possible. In a nutshell, it's either paradise promised world or else hell of dualism on earth. Yours truly, Rick, and GD bless.